What we want from our clients and candidates more than anything else is motivation. Now, motivation is a feeling. So why are so many people obsessed with trying to create a feeling with logic? By the end of this video, you'll be able to create motivation for yourself, your candidates and your clients about just about anything at just about any time. Now, the content goes all the way through to the end, so please watch through and then you won't miss any of the content and any of the great tools that are coming up. Right, let me ask you a couple of questions. Answer them inside your head. You can answer them out loud if you like. I wouldn't suggest doing that on public transport, but it's entirely up to you. But let me ask you a couple of quick questions. Just think for a second about your career or your business. What is it that you want to achieve? I mean, really want to achieve. Not what you tell other people, not what you think you're supposed to say. What do you really want? Okay, why? Why do you want whatever it was that you thought about? What will it mean to you when you got that? When you're able to have that, when you're doing it? What difference will it make? What will you be able to have, be, or do when you've achieved it? Now, everything after the question, what is it you want to achieve, is called an amplifier. Every single one of those questions is designed to take the emotions you feel when you think about what you really want and make them bigger, to amplify them, to take what's good and make it bigger. I included in there the most dangerous or useful question in the world. Do you know what that question is? It's the word why. So somebody says to you, oh, I don't think it's a good idea. You say, why? And they give you all the reasons in the world. No, stop. Just don't do it. The more somebody talks about why they don't want to do something, the more they don't want to do it. The more somebody talks about their problems, the bigger their problems become. Now, I know that all the logical thinking and maybe some of your training you've had in the past will say, well, if you know all the reasons why somebody doesn't want to go ahead, you can overcome them with facts and reasons and the power of your personality. Good luck. God bless. Let me know how that works out for you. Logically, it ought to work. If only people were logical. People are not logical. People are emotional. They take decisions emotionally and then justify them logically and rationally afterwards. So if you're only talking logic and they're responding with feelings and emotions, and they always are, you're missing the vast majority of the potential influence on somebody. On the other hand, I also said that why was the most beneficial and powerful question in the world. Why? Because if somebody says to you, oh, that might be interesting. Okay, that's fantastic. Why? And they explain why it might be interesting. And you say, great, what would that mean for you? And they talk about what it will mean for them. And you say, how well do you think that would work? And they talk about how well it would work. And how useful would that be for you? And they talk about how useful it is. And guess what's happening? They're talking about how and why it might work. So they're getting more interested and more committed in making it work. The concept is very simple. Positive and negative framing questions. They're all open questions. How, what, why, where, when, who. But you have a choice about whether you ask positive questions. What's the best, easiest, simplest, most effective way of doing something? And how well will that work for you? Or negative framing questions. What's the slowest, hardest, most difficult way? Or what are the problems that you can see? Positive, negative. There's also a neutral framing question, which in many ways is even more dangerous, where you just ask a question without knowing what the reply is going to be. The sort of thing a good lawyer would never do. So if you say to somebody, what do you think? That's a neutral framing question. And they might go, I think it's appalling. Or they might go, oh, it's great. But you have no idea when you ask the question. So I always try to ask positive framing questions about things that are going to help me, my client, my candidate, and negative framing questions about my competition, about staying where they are, about not making a change. So positive framing questions about making a change, negative framing questions about staying where they are and doing the same as they've always done. Neutral framing questions, which honestly is what most of us have been taught to do. We just ask open questions and then we try and dance really quickly and respond to whatever the hell comes up. And we just hope that we're quick enough and smart enough and instinctive enough and well-trained enough that we can answer whatever comes out. And, well, God bless and good luck. Personally, I like to try and stay in control of a conversation. You might have guessed that that would be my inclination. So, positive questions, what do you want to get? Negative questions, what do you want to avoid? Is this making sense? If it is, hit the like button, subscribe on the subscribe and the notification bell, and also if you've got any questions, and I'm sure you probably do at this point, but if you've got any questions, stick them down below in the comments, and I will reply to every single question as quickly as I can do, and I'll reply personally. Now, why do those amplifiers work? It's very simple. It's one of the most sort of long established psychological principles. It's actually from ancient Greece, which is that people avoid pain and seek pleasure. We try and make our lives as easy and pleasant as possible. And we try to avoid situations that are undifficult or stressy or problematic. We avoid pain and seek pleasure. And those two opposites are where motivation comes from. The gap between those two is motivation. So if a problem becomes bad enough, we're motivated to solve it. If an opportunity is attractive enough, we're motivated to take advantage of it and grasp it. And if there's a combination of those two, so if you have a current situation that's awful, it's been going on forever, it's unpleasant, it's stressful, it's difficult, it's a hassle, and you've got a potential future that's glorious and exciting, and you feel passionately about it. The tension between those two things, I'm trying to avoid what I've got, and I'm trying to get this desirable future. The tension between those two creates what I call a propulsion machine. Is that making sense? Okay, so you start out with an open question, either a positive or a negative framing question, depending on the situation. So, for example, if I'm talking to a prospect, I'll ask them negative framing questions about their current solution, their current recruitment processes, their current suppliers. You know, I'll talk about what problems they're having, how difficult it is, how slowly things are coming through, you know, how many no-shows they get. And I'll ask positive framing questions about what they want in the future. What would their ideal situation be? How quickly would they want candidates? How quickly do they want to get through the interview process? How quickly do they want feedback? So I start with open questions, but positively or negatively framed. That's great, but it's not really the juice. If you think back to those questions I asked you at the start of the video, I didn't just ask you a question. I asked you follow-up questions. I asked you why you wanted that outcome. If I'm talking to a candidate who's not happy in their job, I want to ask them why they're not happy in their job. If I've got a prospect whose current provider isn't really doing the job, why? Why is that a problem for you? Because then we're starting the conversation with the negative or the positive, depending on the situation. So I'm negative about what they're doing now. I'm positive about what they can have in the future. And I ask follow-up questions. And those questions are designed to get more and more detail. It's designed to make what we're talking about more and more real, tangible, so that you can touch it, you can smell it, you can hear it, you can feel it, you can even taste it. You know, why? What will that mean for you? What will you be able to do if you've got that? How will it help you? In what way exactly? And the more detail you can get, the more you can probe. And I find the secret to this is, I'm sure you'll find this difficult to believe, but some people can sometimes think I'm a bit forceful and arrogant. I know. I'm shocked and appalled by that concept, but it's true. I can be an obnoxious, arrogant pig at times. So for me, when I'm doing these follow-up questions and I'm getting more and more precision in their answers about how good it will be, why, what it will mean for them, how it will help them, what that will mean to them, or the opposite. What I do is a very complex, very sophisticated technique. So bear with me on this. I'm just going to walk you through it. I go like this, and I go, in what way? Or, how do you mean? Or, oh, why? I simply cock my head to one side and I'm just interested. I'm not selling, I'm not trying to push something down somebody's throat. I'm just interested, I'm just inquisitive, I'm just curious. Fill in your own joke there, please. So it's questions like, how do you mean? In what way? Could you give me an example? What would that mean for you? And there's one that I use when I'm talking to individuals. What would you be able to have, do, or be when that's delivered for you? But those amplifying questions that make it real. Don't be satisfied with just saying, well, how much would that help? Oh, terrific. No. Build it. Make it work for you. So how well would that work for you? Oh, fantastic. Why'd you say that? Oh, excellent. What would it mean? How would it help? How much time would that save? How much money would it save? How much money would it make you? What would it mean for you? Those amplifier questions, make it tangible. Make it as real as you possibly can. And the secret, my recruitment friends, is to combine the negative about their current situation and the positive about making a change, and amplify 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 until they are ready to be closed on a decision. Personally, I will amplify and amplify until it almost reaches the point of being awkward, because then I know that they're ready for the close. Once they are desperate, for want of a better word, once they're desperate to move away from their problems and towards the solutions, away from the pain and towards the gain, then they're ready for a pitch or for a close. And that is how you create motivation for other people, for candidates and for clients. And guess what? It's also how you create motivation for you in your situation. It's how you, as a business owner, if you are, it's how you create motivation in your colleagues, in your team, in your suppliers, because people move away from pain and towards pleasure, away from pain and towards the gain. That's how people work. There's a couple of other videos which I've flagged as we've gone through this, which are relevant to the same topic. And if you want to join the mailing list, if you look down below, there is a link for one of my workbook, which is the 20 most essential sales skills for recruiters. And if you click that, you'll be added to our mailing list, and you'll make sure you know all the recruitery goodness that's coming through the pipeline. You will also have some really useful insights in the workbook as well. So if you have any questions, put them down in the comments and I'll answer as quickly as I personally can. And also remember to hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the notification, and you will never miss out on any recruitery goodness. I'll see you next time.